Hi guys, next up on the list, these are just, I'm speechless. I mean, I'm looking at these right now and I'm like, man, like where did these come from? They just look out of this world, honestly. So these are our cinnamon caps, and they remind me of a different type of mushroom called hanjimijis or beach mushrooms, but taste nothing like it, totally different. These are amazing. I've used these quite a few times and I just fell in love with them the first time I got them. Shout out to my mushroom guy, Scott, and his wife, Mitzi. They have a farm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and they grow the most amazing, fresh, unreal mushrooms. I mean, like I had to think about what I was going to say just because their produce is just ridiculous, as you can tell by the pictures and the video that you get from what I'm showing you. So with these, they are great for pickling, and like a quick pickle. So like rice wine vinegar, some soy, lots of chilies, coriander, amazing, right? But that's just one flavor profile, Asian, which is what I tend to cook a lot. But you can go any route with the pickling. It doesn't have to be that, but searing them, amazing. These I kind of tend to use with pasta. So sometimes I'll let them dry out in the refrigerator just a little, and then I would rip them up and saute them and cook them. Some red sauce, fresh pasta, some pesto, and I mean, you have a delicious meal. So just, if you get a chance to ever try different mushrooms that are, for consumption, of course, I definitely suggest you get some and just go for it, because you will not be disappointed. You just have to know how to treat mushrooms. They must be seared, right? Or pickled, but if you're going for like a meal, then obviously you want to cook them, and not necessarily pickle them, which would be like an accoutrement or just like a side, or something like an add-on if you have like a charcuterie board, or something to that extent. But with these or any other mushroom, really, you want to get a good sear on them, because the thing that people don't realize is that searing is what seals in flavor. It's what creates flavor. It's what takes you from an unknowledgeable cook to a pro, to a chef, because I would never take mushrooms and put it in a pot and add water. Like, there's no way I would do that, because you get no flavor doing that. I would never boil mushrooms, so for me, it's always about how can I develop flavor quickly and seal in that flavor. It's the best way to do this, right? You want to just get a nice hot pan, a little bit of oil, and remember, oil is just like water with mushrooms. Make sure you put enough oil in your pan, because when you add the mushrooms, it's gonna suck up all that oil. And then an amateur cook, and not in a bad way, just will be like, oh, I don't have enough oil in my pan, and then we'll keep adding more oil, and then what you end up with is this oily, greasy dish that might turn you off. So just know that mushrooms will suck up all the oil in the beginning, and then once it's gotten past the stage of where you're finished searing it, it's gonna be able to then release back that oil, and then it'll be okay. So don't just keep adding oil because your pan seems dry. Just have the pan hot enough, that way when you sear it initially, it does its job and then doesn't suck up all the oil immediately, right? So key, hot pan, hot oil, saute, all right? Don't move it around, let it sit for a second so it develops that color, and then turn it over and get color on the other side, all right? Color is flavor, remember that, okay? So thanks for watching, and enjoy cooking some mushrooms. Talking about our lion's mane. All right, these are amazing. All right, these are one of the best mushrooms you could possibly eat, and I'll tell you why. First of all, look at these. They are amazing, right? These are our lion's mane, and if you look very closely, you can see the hair right? And that's why it's called a lion's mane, just because it looks like a lion's mane. And a lion's mane meaning the hair around the lion's head. And then if you look, this is the, let's see, this is the mushroom cut down in half, and you can see where the hair starts right here, and then this part is like the sponge. So real meaty, but very porous. So you put this in water and it will literally act like an actual sponge and suck up every single liquid that's around it. But health benefits for these, there's like a list. There's so many that I needed to write it down just so I don't remember, I don't forget, you know, all of it. First up is it helps protect against dementia. You know, it can help with depression. These bad boys can help with your digestive tract. They also lower heart disease, you know, lower the risk of heart disease, and then also they can really help with diabetes. So you want to definitely get these whenever you can. And the cool thing about lion's mane is that you can also get it in a powder form. So these come dry in a powder form, and you can add it to your soups, you can add it to your sauces, you can add it to your smoothies, your milkshakes, all that stuff. And you only need like a teaspoon a day, right? But the way I would cook these would be to either dice them up, you know, or cut them into like steaks, sear them, a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, fresh thyme, garlic, stuff like that. I would treat it like a steak. If you're gonna braise it, I would not necessarily braise it, just because it would be this really big mushy kind of situation, and then, you know, doesn't really taste that good. But searing these, they get super golden and they look beautiful, they taste great. So definitely searing them would be the way I go with these particular ones. And they're just amazing, and you can literally treat these like you would a piece of chicken or a piece of steak. Like you can bread them, deep fry them, or, you know, treat it like a steak and sear them. I wouldn't necessarily put it on a grill, but if you are to put it on a grill, I would put it on a grill that has very fine mesh, so that way it doesn't stick and fall through or break up into big pieces, right? So searing them is definitely the way I would go. And storing them, you don't want to store these in a closed container or like a Ziploc bag and seal it up, just because the condensation starts breaking it down and they get wet and they start to get waterlogged, because it'll just keep taking in all that liquid that is produced in the container that you're storing it in. So open container, or if you are going to put it in a closed container, get some kind of air in there, and then have like a paper towel on the bottom, on the top, just to kind of keep the liquid or the condensation off of the actual mushroom, right? So lion's mane, delicious, brain food, body food, just very nutritional and really nice flavor. And it's a neutral flavor, so it's not like you cook it and you're like, oh my god, it tastes like mushroom. So you can literally season this and flavor it like whatever you want it to taste like, you know. So if you were doing Spanish food, Mexican, Asian food, those flavor profiles, it will take it up and it would be just as good. Cool. We are talking about these pretty things here, and these are our oyster mushrooms. They are just beautiful to look at, taste really great. The texture of these are amazing. But yeah, these are our oyster mushrooms, and they come really big, they come small. You can get them in different sizes, you know, it really depends. But oyster mushrooms is one of the only mushrooms that has at least 3 or 4 other varieties. You can get yellow oysters, you can get pink oysters, you can get black oyster mushrooms, blue trumpets. There's a few of them that you can get, and then of course your regular oyster mushroom. So with these, cleaning them, right? A brush, of course, you brush out the top, and these normally come very clean. They're hardly ever dirty. And then you flip them over, and on the bottom side, where are the gills, which are the lines that are on the bottom of the mushroom, you just want to brush it out if you see any particles in there that shouldn't be in there. You know, crumbs, dust, whatever, you know, sawdust, any of that stuff that's in there, you brush it out. But you don't wash them, right? Because, you know, that's like the big no-no for mushrooms. We never wash our mushrooms. We want to brush them out and keep them nice and clean. And oyster mushrooms, the beautiful thing about these is that you don't have to cut them to prep them. Like, you can literally just almost peel them, and it's really cool. You just do like that and they come apart, and you can go as small as you want, right? You know, so pulling them apart is really great. You can also cut them with a knife if you want, but searing these, you know, hot oil, hot pan, you know, garlic, fresh thyme, salt and pepper, rosemary, amazing. You know, so for me with mushrooms, I would always sear them like that first, and then if I'm gonna make a stir fry, then I would add it to the stir fry. Or pizza, you know, cook them like that first, you know, sear them with some aromatics, and then add them to the pizza instead of just slicing them and putting them raw on the pizza. I never understood why people did that, or restaurants or companies, you know, just because you're missing an opportunity to impart way more flavor into the pizza and into the mushroom. So, you know, I get slicing the mushroom and then just putting it on there. It has a distinct flavor, but to me, there's a better flavor of the mushroom, which is searing it first and then putting it on the pizza. But I get why people would do it, because you also save money because you're using less when you slice it raw and put it on the pizza. Because when you cook mushrooms, the quantity reduces, you know, because it's such a high water content produce that when you cook them, you go from a pound of raw mushrooms to, I'd say, 3/4 of a pound of raw mushrooms. I mean, cooked mushrooms. So I would understand why people do it, but searing these, stir fries, sauteing them, you know, is definitely the way to go with these. Really great for pasta. And a cool trick with these would be to have them in the refrigerator and just kind of let them dry out over a week or so, uncovered, and they get this chewy texture to them, which is great, because then, you know, for a meat substitute, it's awesome. Pasta, you know, stir fries, fried rice, things like that. It's just pretty awesome. So oyster mushrooms, and then the really cool thing about these is the fact that they are high in vitamins and nutrients. Like, I mean, these have protein, it has fiber, it has calcium, selenium, it's vitamin C, vitamin D, it even has iron. So oyster mushrooms, you know, it's great. You know, like, you can't go wrong with these. And when you cook them, they get this really nutty flavor that's just amazing. So next time you see oyster mushrooms in the supermarket or in the store, say hi and get some and just try it. You know, and if you don't remember what to do, DM me, send me a message, email me, visit www.chefedharris.com and drop me an email, and I will surely tell you what to do with them. All right? So next time, I'll see you guys later. We are talking about the benefits, the way we cook them, clean them, and everything about mushrooms, right? So first up, we have these beautiful shiitakes here, right? As you can see, they are amazing, right? So you see these bad boys, right? They're pretty awesome, right? So these are our shiitakes. And first things first, the way we clean all mushrooms: paintbrush, right? And you just want to brush the gills, right? So you're brushing inside. Never wash your mushrooms, right? Mushrooms are pretty much a sponge. So the minute you wash them, they become waterlogged, and then what you end up happening is you end up with this gross piece of mushroom, which is not gonna taste anything like it's supposed to. So you brush off the tops. If they're really dirty, you want to take a wet rag or a damp paper towel and wipe off the top, right? But once you get to this part, you just kind of want to brush it out. Once it's nice and clean, you get rid of all the debris and you get rid of all of the, you know, whatever is there that shouldn't be there. These are ready to go. Now the next thing is we want to talk about the stems. Shiitake stems you don't eat because they're not really edible unless they're really young shiitakes and you feel them and the stems are really soft. But this one's pretty firm. It's a very mature shiitake, so we don't want to cook the stems. So you'll trim it off about this much. You know, so I would leave maybe a 1/4 inch worth of stem there, and that's totally fine. But like this part here is like super fibrous and you really don't need it. I mean, you can eat it, but there's no point, you know, there's no need. So I would just trim it off. All right, health benefits for shiitakes are pretty amazing. I mean, talk about boosting immunity, you know, boosting your immune system. You know, it's especially, you know, these are used as an extract. They dry them and they make an extract with them, and it's put into all different kinds of things. It's used as an anti-aging, you know, it's used as, what else are these used for? They're used for lowering cholesterol. They're used for boosting immunity. It's used for treating different types of cancer, prostate and breast cancer. So they're really awesome, these little guys. So definitely next time you see them in a supermarket or a farmer's market, get some, you know. And the way you store them is to not keep them covered up in a plastic bag or in a container. If you are gonna put them in a container, make sure there's paper towel so that it absorbs all of the condensation that happens in the closed container. Otherwise, you're gonna get something that's really wet, and then because of the wetness, it's gonna start going bad. So for these to last as long as they possibly can, you want to keep them nice and open with enough air flowing through them, okay? So these are our shiitakes. All right,